Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear Mr. Guterres, and whoever is watching, this video message is on the occasion of the Stockholm Plus 50 United Nations Conference on the World Environment Day. I wish I could speak during the conference, but since it was not possible, I hope to reach you and contribute through this video message. I'd like to focus on three rather unpopular topics, yet I think they are essential for the future of the world. First, it's garbage is a global problem. Second, overpopulation. And third, the moon agreement. Speaking of garbage, too many landfills cover and destroy habitats. At the same time, people look for alternative, green, environmental friendly energy sources. And now guess what? Waste to energy technologies are available today. So why don't we deploy them worldwide? Why don't we eliminate all the landfills using garbage as feedstock to provide people with clean energy to clean up the planet and restore the habitats and give them back to nature? That's actually how I understand the spirit of generation restoration. Unfortunately, waste to energy technologies are still not recognized as environmental friendly by the United Nations. Some opponents maintain they would not be because fossil fuels are needed for the operation of the machines. And this argument is so absurd. Fossil fuels plus a lot of natural resources plus a lot of energy were needed to produce components for the recognized green technologies. And by the way, some systems are so efficient that the fuel consumption is comparable with driving a semi or even pickup truck at the same time, which is absolutely acceptable. And the very little machines, they even operate without fuel. But then you can just eliminate the garbage but can produce energy. Yet they would reverse the damage we cause, which actually makes waste to energy technologies the cleanest ever. Yes, we reverse the damage we cause by our garbage production, by our consumption. And it's up to you, United Nations, to change the game. Please recognize waste to energy technologies as environmental friendly. The second topic I'd like to speak about is overpopulation. It's something nobody wants to speak about, nobody wants to see, yet it is a problem. I am aware of the extreme greed of the so-called global north. We must change our way of life. The greed of the global north is a fact and it's disgusting, but also the overpopulation of the world, especially of the global south, is a fact, and it's time to call the problem by its name. What we urgently need is education, sexual education for women and men, information about and access to birth control, strengthening of women's rights, and I really appreciate the efforts of the United Nations on this topic, but what we still need is a declared goal. People must become less. Only if we become less greedy and if we become less the nature we want to protect has a chance. We will have to mobilize all our forces, even including religious leaders of all religions. At the first moment it sounds absurd. I am aware that religious leaders will not necessarily suddenly preach birth control, but they can preach respect for nature, and they can preach and we can teach that it's better for people and for nature if people just get 1 or 2 children and provide for them properly, rather than they get hungry 7 they cannot feed. And these babies frequently end up as poor day workers, slaves, or refugees. The fact is, the poorer, the less educated, and the more religious people are, the more babies they get which makes the poverty even worse, and that's a vicious circle we must interrupt. I am aware that this will not happen overnight. A revolution of the mindset will be necessary and it will take time, but we have to start one day. So let's start today. The third topic is the Moon Agreement. I would like to read something I found on the page of the United Nations. The Moon Agreement was adopted in 1979 in Resolution 3468 to enter into force in July 1984. Further, the agreement provides that the moon and its natural resources are the common heritage of mankind, and that an international regime should be established to govern the exploitation of such resources when such exploitation is about to become feasible. Well, if all the moon landings were not fake news, then it has become feasible. And since we are no more in the 80s and we care more about the planet, it's time to update the Resolution 3468 and to protect the moon. The moon must be declared inviolable by the United Nations. No stations on the moon and no exploitation of natural moon resources. This exploitation does not happen for the benefit of the mankind. It happens just for a temporary financial benefit of very few very rich people. So very few very rich people want to become even richer and put their entire life on Earth at risk. Why entire life? Because so many natural phenomena depend from and on the moon. Just to mention a few, tides. So many ecosystems depend on tides, so they depend directly on and from the moon. Migration or navigation for themselves. Humans will invent some navigation as GPS, but the animals, the migrating animals, they depend on the moon. They navigate using the moon phases. It's the same for reproduction. Many animals use the moon phases to time their reproduction. So the nature on Earth needs a healthy moon. The integrity of the moon is essential for the life on the planet Earth. And if people, at least some people, don't care about the point of no return on Earth, do you seriously think that they would care about the point of no return on the moon? They would not even recognize when they have reached or exceeded this point. We might realize that, but what if it's too late? United Nations, it's up to you. If you really care about the Earth, protect the moon. I could speak much longer, but I wanted to keep this video message as short as possible. So thank you for watching. Have a very good and a very fruitful conference, and have a good World Environment Day.